Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Forge. Whether you're sitting at your desk, driving to work, or you're in some other far-off corner of the old world, this is SquareHammer.
How you doing, everybody out there?
Whoa, what's up, guys?
This is a pretty exciting morning for anybody who
Has a Facebook.
Yeah, who has a Facebook or an Instagram or follows Reddit or any other social media platform out there. GW put a little teaser trailer up, not even a trailer, just like a teaser post on their Age of Sigmar Facebook page.
Yeah.
And it basically was a picture of a square base.
And it says, everything comes round again. Even squares.
Which is like the corniest thing I've ever heard GW put out. But that being said, we're gonna just
Theorize.
Maybe react to what it could be, or what we're hoping it could be, or what it realistically probably is.
Well, what do you think it is, Cal?
Oh man. Well, I'm always a cautiously optimistic person, so I know what I hope it is, which would be I wish it and hope it's a reboot of fantasy. I mean, that's what everybody out there who plays fantasy is hoping for, right?
Yep, and that's what all the posts all over all the Facebook groups are wanting. Yeah. You know, they're all, man, is GW going to re-release fantasy? Oh my gosh, I would love this. Are they doing a last made to order for like Tomb Kings of Bretonias or something? Who knows, man? I hope so, though. Yeah,
that'd be great. That being said, I think there's a lot of possibilities it could be. But before I go into that, are you in the same boat? That's what you hope it is?
See, I mean, yes and no, because if they reboot fantasy, I don't think they would make it exactly fantasy, only because that would pull people away from Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
And Age of Sigmar is their bestseller. Not bestseller, but it's far and beyond from sales in terms of Warhammer Fantasy. So I don't think they would do squares again, but maybe some... Shoot, I hope. Just, I don't know if they would change the lore up or if they would change the rules to match Age of Sigmar. I'm not sure.
Well, so I think maybe I'll go through a list of possible things that it could be from my standpoint, and we'll just have a little back and forth about it. So the first thing that it could be is a reboot of fantasy, as it was set in the old world with a new rule set and armies and models and books, and it'll be just like 8th edition never ended, right?
So ninth age, effectively? Ninth ed?
Yeah, it'd be the 9th ed of Warhammer Fantasy, which I'm going to put up there at like a 0.0001% probability.
Gotcha.
I think that there could be a Warhammer Fantasy specialty game that Forge World puts out, similar to 30K and Horse Heresy.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe is set in the old world,
right?
Or maybe is set in the Age of Sigmar with, just resin models of Age of Sigmar armies and factions.
Right. Okay.
I'll put that up at there at like an 8% chance.
Oh, really?
Maybe 7%, 6%, somewhere between.
Really? Okay. Oh, that's okay. That's cautiously optimistic, I suppose.
I told you it's cautious. I'm a cautiously optimistic person.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, and this is probably in like the 50 to 75% range, is either a one-time clearance of Warhammer Fantasy Square bases that they found stashed in their warehouse somewhere and forgot about.
Right. Which I think we kind of heard a little bit that through the grapevine of some of our sources that's probably could be what it is.
Could be that.
Right.
It could be base adapters.
Maybe because they don't make their own. That's true.
Yep. They don't make their own, but you can buy them anywhere from Facebook to Etsy to eBay to Death Ray Designs. I think does them. I mean, a lot of people do them.
Right.
I think it could be maybe the next wave of made to order.
Yeah.
Or it could be that there are gonna be old Chaos, Chaos Warriors of Chaos models going last chance to buy.
Okay.
The recent release or recent announcement of all of the new, what are they called, Slaves to Darkness?
Yes, yeah, which look great, of course.
Oh, they're beautiful. I just wish they were off their bases.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think? Do you think any of those are plausible?
I 100% think that if they just found a whole bunch of bases in the warehouse and they want to clear stuff out, this is a good way to do it because it brings up a whole bunch of hype and attention to them. So no matter what it is, it's great marketing because the amount of fantasy players that were just effectively they exiled GW from their game system because of what they did to Warhammer Fantasy, then this would definitely get them to at least pay attention enough to hear the announcement. So in a marketing ploy, they did a great job. What do I think it could be? Definitely the bases, and definitely easily a made to order of maybe the old Warriors of Chaos stuff. But for the previous made to orders, they don't do this kind of meme where it's effectively they're saying, hey guys, it's okay. Sometimes Square bases come back, and this is what it's going to be. Boom, here's the release. And obviously that'll be tomorrow at 3 p.m., I think, GMT time.
Yeah, so that's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time if you're in the U.S.
Right. Which is, what?
I have
1
no
and
idea.
2 p.m. in Australia?
I have no idea.
No, a.m. 1 or a.m.
To Australian time. I have no idea.
I just do 12. You flip it and then just add 3. I think that's what it is.
Well,
but
that makes sense.
I don't know if they would go back to squares. Would they really? Man, they would never do a large scale game. I don't think so. I don't think they would do a board game for squares. I mean, it makes sense for board games for hexes and stuff, but
I saw somebody hypothesizing that it was a Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Sigmar chess set.
And I saw that too.
I got a kick out of that.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah.
I would buy that. I do love chess. Chess is a good game.
So here is my kind of, no pun intended, out of the blue speculation.
Okay.
So everybody has been talking about base converters. Well, there's not everybody. A lot of people have been talking about base converters. And historically, when people talk about base converters, they take your square fantasy base and they slot in to a round base for Age of Sigmar.
Yep. So you could use them for both.
Yeah. What if it's a square base that a round Age of Sigmar base fits into?
No, so you mean if you're on circles, you can somehow put them into a square.
Right.
Right, a movement tray or whatever.
Yeah, and then you can rank and file your Age of Sigmar stuff. Your existing or their being Games Workshop's existing line of models.
The only reason I say that is not a possibility. It's not that it's not a possibility, but it's going to be difficult because so many of the Age of Sigmar models are on huge, massive circles that are way bigger than anything that was on an 8th edition square. So if you think a Tree Man for Wood Elves is on a 75 by 50 millimeter base, but in Age of Sigmar, it's on a huge circle. I don't even know the size of it. It's probably like an 80 mil or 100 millimeter
Yeah,
base.
you've got to get your traditional thinking of square bases out of your mind.
So you're
I'm saying, like, and just ignore Warhammer Fantasy and everything that we know and love, right? What if they took the Age of Sigmar universe as it exists today? They wrote a rule book, and they said this is going to be the new Warhammer Fantasy, the pseudo Warhammer Fantasy. You're going to buy our current range of models. They're going to go on squares.
You mean circles?
No. Well,
you go on squares, put them on
which
circles,
insert
and then you can play them in
squares.
either game.
You can play them in either game,
All right.
and your 30 what was a Chaos Warrior on a 25 mil square base in Fantasy is now a 32 mil. Is a Warrior of Chaos on a 32 mil in Age of Sigmar round base, which inserts into like a 40 mil square base.
I could see it.
So the scale of the game gets bigger.
I'm definitely surprised if that is the case, and they do such a momentous release. I'm surprised that they would only have like 1 day waiting period. It does make the hype super instant, and you get an instant gratification because it's only 24 hours. But it doesn't. I feel like you won't hit everyone. But once it's released, people are going to share it like crazy. But as long as I'm okay with that, I just don't want them. Well, because then they would have to re-release other miniatures unless they.
Why? Why would they re-release new miniatures?
They would just have to make rules for the old ones that are no longer used, but they are used in Fantasy. But I agree, if they made their whole new book.
No. What I'm saying is every model from Warhammer Fantasy is dead.
Yes, I got it. They just make
changed
effectively Fantasy rules for the new models, effectively.
Yeah.
Right. I think people would still dislike. Okay, don't get me wrong. A lot of people would love it, but people would still want to be able to use their old models that are no longer current.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying we're gonna like this.
Oh, well, yeah. Good point. Everyone might hate it, but
it's a direction that I can see Games Workshop going because the line of models already exists, and it's a rule set that they can create to market to fantasy players.
Yeah.
With little to no cost to them.
Man, I want.
And I don't know.
So it would kind of be a Kings of War kind of game. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know. I mean,
it Game of Thrones, maybe something.
It could be like the the Song of Ice and Fire game, which
the Game of Thrones one. Yeah.
Yeah, which is models on a round base dropped into a square movement tray.
Yeah.
Which has been wildly successful, and GW could have looked at that and been like, why did it take Song of Ice and Fire to come up with this idea? We can totally take this and make it our own. And I don't know.
Okay, let me ask you this: what do you not want it to be? Let me ask you that. I do not want it to be another skirmish game. But what would you not want it to be?
I would not want it to be base adapters.
Okay.
I would not want it to be a clearance of moldy oldie bases.
Moldy oldie?
Yeah, moldy oldie bases.
Okay. All right. I'd be okay with that, honestly.
I mean, I would still buy them. But
yeah, for sure.
That wouldn't live up to the hype of the release of this announcement this morning.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't want it to be a box set, like a box game.
Okay.
I really don't want it to be like, I don't know, the Warhammer Fantasy version of Warhammer Quest or Silver Tower or something like that.
I think they might. See, I think if this is where if I was GW and I was going to restart making fantasy in almost any of the terms or suggestions that you threw out, I would start with a boxed game just to see how the sales do. And if the sales hit a certain level, then I would start expanding on top of that. Kind of like what Warcry, I'm trust me, I'm sure Warcry and GW, they have a huge lineup. They already know what they're going to plan for the next couple of years.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just actually putting it into production. So
Yeah, but when you think about that, I mean, if you're gonna do a box set that's new, right? You gotta have a rules team to write the rules. You gotta have the sculptors come up with the models.
yep.
You gotta, if you're gonna have terrain in it, like Warcry or Necromunda, you gotta have somebody, do all of that for the terrain.
Mhm.
If you're gonna, and this goes back to my point a couple of minutes ago, if you're just going to release movement trays, which you can make with little to no effort if you're a big production, superpower like Games Workshop is,
Right.
and a rule set, which could be, a 100-page rule book, think your typical codex. I mean, that's no investment of time relative to the time and energy it takes to make a new box set. And then if you're going to go back to the argument, well, maybe they're going to use it to, figure out what the demand for it is. I mean, that base it on the sale of the rule sets and then go from there. I mean, you don't have to come up with any new models. You don't have to come up with any new terrain unless you want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, let me ask you this, Blue. Do you think that the Age of Sigmar models are pretty? I mean, like in the grand scheme of the models themselves, completely.
Overall, yes.
Yeah.
They are beautifully well sculpted, well crafted models.
Okay.
100%. Some of them I don't have a taste for.
Sure.
But most of them, the majority of them, obviously, GW has been increasing by bounds their miniature sculpting capability and their mass production. It's just, they're gorgeous. Some of them are just so well made and so detailed, it's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I 100% agree. Yes.
All right, so you like the models. We know we like Warhammer Fantasy and rank and file style games.
Right.
Would you play a Games Workshop game like I just described?
I would want to read the rule set first. Potentially. I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm too analytical to say yes or no, so I'm going to say potentially. I will want to read the rule set first. Only because...
Let's assume that everybody else in the world is not like you.
Okay. No one's like me, Kyle.
That's true. Do you think that a lot of players out there, fantasy players, would grasp on to a new pseudo-fantasy set in the Age of Sigmar universe instead of the old world?
I would say yes, and here's why. I think some people, you ever dated someone and they hurt you real bad, but you loved them for like 10 years or even for a couple years, and they spurred you, but you love them so much that you give them another chance? I think there's plenty of people out there that are fantasy players would love to give that relationship another go. So I definitely think that there are plenty of people would give it another shot.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that people would grasp onto it. I do.
I do too.
But so yeah, at the end of the day, this is all speculation and posturing, and tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we will know the answer.
We know the news. I'm looking forward to it. Guys, let us know.
Yep.
Buddy.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
See y'all. Blues out.